everybody, and welcome back to a brand new video. First, I do want to say thank you all so much for all of the comments on the last video about the situation with Cosmo and for being so understanding. Ultimately, the timing of that was crazy and I wasn't expecting to have to deal with that, but I do appreciate you all being patient. I decided I will not be like ranting about that on this channel because this is my main channel, so I do want to keep this more like within the niche about being a flight attendant and traveling, that type of thing. But my vlog channel is where like all of the random behind the scenes type of stuff will be if you are interested in that. I am always amazed, especially when I've flown with people that have watched the videos where they're like, Ashley, like I've watched your videos for this amount of time and like then I met you in person and you're shorter than I thought you were, or you're taller than I thought you were, or you seem more quiet than I thought you were. It's just like, it's always funny to me to run into people and that makes it real. Like ultimately, as a YouTuber, you look at it and you see the numbers and you see like how many people are watching it, but it never really feels like, oh okay, I'm a YouTuber until I talk to people face to face more so. But anyways, it's just funny to me that they're like, oh well, you come across and I love your videos so much because you're always positive, you're always bubbly, you're always in a good mood. And ultimately, I've worked in customer service my entire life. Every job I've ever had since 16 has been something related to interacting with customers. Okay, and for those of you that are in customer service industries, at the hotels, you work in restaurants, anything where you're interacting with a large group of people, you know this. You know how tough the customer service industry can be, and you know how difficult it can be dealing with so many different people and so many different personalities across the board. I cannot remember exactly where I heard this, but ultimately, especially with the customer service industry across the board in any type of job, despite everything that you have going on behind the scenes in your personal life, when you are at work, you are the face of whatever company you work for, you are on stage. So I have flown with people that are going through divorces, that just got out of really tough relationships, that are sick, that have children that are sick, that have pets that have passed away, that just flat out don't feel good. And it's always amazing to me how resilient flight attendants can be and how much we can go through and still manage to put on a smile and put on your face for your customers. And like, you really have to keep the mindset is because people will try it. They will try it, they will try you. That is something that is never going to change. But you have to remember, especially with this job, when people are frustrated and when people are getting upset and irritated and just irrational, they're not necessarily yelling at you more so as your uniform. So really, whenever a customer might be interacting with me and saying, okay, I booked my ticket, this is the seat that I'm in, but I want to be in this seat because I'm traveling with somebody. And in my head, I was like, okay, this is a quick 40-minute flight, you know, it's overbooked. I'll try to accommodate you if I can. But it's like, in my mind, I know if they're getting upset or if they're like, you know, interacting with me, they're not saying, Ashley, I'm supposed to be in 11D and my friend is supposed to be in 11C. Make something happen. They're saying, okay, we booked their flight last minute probably, and maybe they didn't get their seats together, but is there anything that you can do? So when you come into situations that are frustrating, don't take things personally. I think I've seen that happen too, where people are just like, they get really upset or really frustrated, and ultimately it's like, you cannot go into it with that mindset of it's you so much as who you represent. Okay, another thing that I always just like remember in my head, ultimately it's just a 3-day trip. It's just a 2-day trip. It might be a 6-day trip. It might just be a turn, but it's gonna end. And I think that's one benefit to this job and one perk that we have that other jobs don't necessarily have is we don't always work with the same coworkers. You don't always work with the same crew the entire time. So you and your best friend might be flying together and you're like, oh, every trip together, there's ways that you can manipulate your schedule and everything to make sure that you fly with that person. But there are situations too where you fly with people where you're like, nope, never again. And ultimately, if you cannot be an adult for 6 days, if you cannot be an adult for however long your trip might last, I mean, I really don't know what to tell you. I feel like in this industry especially, that is such a huge benefit compared to other jobs, is ultimately our schedules work a lot differently. So we don't really have like a steady coworker that we have to see every single week for the rest of your career as a flight attendant. So always just remember that in the back of your mind, is whoever might be acting up, your passengers might be acting up, your crew might be acting up, but be an adult for however long that period lasts for, and then once you step off of that plane, let it go. Okay, so for the Scorpios out there that watch this video, as a fellow Scorpio, you already know, you understand. I don't even have to go into this anymore. But I'm always amazed at how people are like, you're always happy and you're always bubbly. And you guys, I'm not. Like, I know in these videos, obviously I'm not going to pull out the camera and just be like in this grumpy, terrible, awful mood. But I'm nice until I'm not. Like, I'm still a human being at the end of the day, but I don't ever allow myself to bring that to work because, number one, that's unprofessional. Number two, you have to be so aware of yourself more so than anything. Like, at the end of the day, nobody looks out for you like you do. Having a positive mindset and having a positive outlook on life, it is not always this like easy thing. I know for some people it comes easier than others, but ultimately as a person, as an individual, I always tell people, like, you never know what somebody is going through. Like, you might see them smiling and, you know, just in this happy mood, but you never know what's going on in a person's head and what they're dealing with behind the scenes. So it is always so important to treat every single person with respect and just with a sense of dignity. Like, I might be smiling, happy, go lucky, just in the best mood, and people thinking, oh my god, you know, she is so nice, she is so great. But you don't know that somebody just hit and killed my dog and I'm having to just deal with that on the inside but smile on the outside. So it's just like one of those things where I always tell people, treat people how you want to be treated, but don't let people walk over you either. I have been in situations where I'm really just like, what? I have worked way too hard on my zen and way too hard on myself as a person to let somebody get me out of character or to take me to a place that I don't want to be. So ultimately, you have to really, like, it might sound simple, but that is not a simple thing, to really get to a state of mind where the things that people say to you don't actually affect you unless you want them to. More so than anything, I am very grateful for the foundation that I was given and how I was raised, and I think that that has carried me as a person tremendously. Like, I feel like I've always had an old soul. Like, people, like, I'll talk to people and we'll be, you know, talking about whatever subject, and they're like, I can't believe that you're only 26. Or, being positive can be difficult. It is not always easy, but ultimately making sure that you're good, making sure that you're okay, that your mental health is okay, that your physical health is okay, that you are in check and not letting things stress you out is so important. Like, people really downplay stress a lot, and the airline industry can be a stressful environment. So it really is important for you to understand you and for you to get your flow of things and be comfortable with. At the end of the day, independence is definitely like a huge thing. It can be difficult for others to just like be out there on their own or traveling alone or having to do so much alone, but I really think that it is important to like spend time with yourself. Like, I love, as crazy as it sounds, it's really not crazy, like, to just do things on my own. Nothing like me having to do something alone, like go to the movies or go shopping or whatever, it never stops me from doing something. I never feel like, oh, I don't want to go to eat alone, because then people will be looking at me like, oh, she's all by herself. Like, it does not faze me whatsoever. And I don't know if that's like a normal thing or if it's just like a Scorpio thing, but I've never had a problem like with being an individual and with doing my own thing, and that is definitely an important trait to have at this job. I do want to encourage everyone, maybe sometime this week or sometime next month, just take time out to spend some time with yourself. Do your own thing. Take yourself to the spa, maybe have a massage, go out to eat alone, go to the movies alone. Just do something by yourself without your phone and then see how you feel. Being a positive person and having a good mindset is something that you have to work hard at and work every single day at. This isn't something that necessarily just happens overnight. So I definitely feel like this channel, what is a channel? As far as things that I do to try to remain positive and have a good mindset, I do read a lot. Like, I read quite a bit. This is not something obviously everybody's going to enjoy, but ultimately, like, just reading or researching things, I find that to be very like relaxing. Also, you guys know I'm an avid tea drinker. I do meditate and do yoga as well, and I just find like you have to find something that takes your mind off everything and relaxes you. Whatever thing, if that's exercising, if that's eating, if it's playing with your kids, if it's interacting with your pet, whatever it might be, whenever you're doing something and literally everything else that's going on in your life, you don't think about it, do that. Another thing that I do feel like can ultimately affect your positivity or your outlook is who you surround yourself with. Ultimately, you can't pick your family. I like to joke about that with my family all the time, but you can't pick them. They're given to you. You don't really have a choice. But as far as like your friends or associates or whoever might be in your life, you pick those people. You don't have to have friends. You don't have to like deal with certain people in your life. You choose to keep them there. And ultimately, especially as you get older, it is kind of harder to have friendships and to like make friends in different situations. And I don't really have any advice to that, because I feel like everyone that I have in my life now has been in my life for such a long time. I can't even imagine like life without those people. And I'm also the type of person where I'm like, okay, this is my little group of friends. I don't need any more friends. And I mean, ultimately, if I happen to run into Robin at Coachella or something and she wants to be friends, and I mean Rihanna, by the way, that's her real name for those of you that might not know. If I run into her and she's like, oh my god, love you girl, want to be your friend, 100% on board. I would love that. I definitely feel like the people that you surround yourself with can definitely affect your mood. So if you're questioning someone like within your circle or within your group, so I hope that those tips and everything that was left do help some of you guys. I know this is not like the normal video, but I just thought that this would be a good one to upload. Ultimately, you've made it to the end of this video and you're still in the back of your mind thinking, is she gonna spill the tea? It will be months before I say anything. And that is just like a decision that I have made, and ultimately it is what it is. Everything that I'm wearing, etc., will be linked in the description box, and I will see you guys in my next one. Every YouTuber says this, but ultimately I feel like I have the best audience and the best passengers. So this is what we're doing in 2018. This is the new angle. Can you imagine if I only vlogged like this? This is realistic though, like, ooh, look at this butterfly.